Thank you all for coming and joining today's session. It's part of ESEI Talks, and we have the pleasure to have Julia Roca with us. She's a professional in the sports industry, and she's also teaching at ESEI. So we are going to move into a conversation, a friendly conversation with Julia, in where we will talk a lot about the challenges and the opportunities that women do have as leaders in the sports industry. So Julia, how are you today? What can you tell us about your day, your profile, and what I just introduced?
Hi, Carlota. Thank you very much for inviting me for this ESEI Talks. I'm very happy to be here. So something that I always explain to people when I introduce myself, because it's part of my like DNA, is that I used to be a tennis player. For me, this is a basic in my life, because even though when I was 19, I made a decision to stop competing in tennis on a professional level. The reason is very simple. I wasn't good enough. I wasn't going to make it as a pro to make a living. I did decide that I loved sport enough that I wanted to have a career in the world of sports professionally. And I think I've been working in the sports industry, fortunately, for over 15 years. I've been lucky to work in many world championships as a ticketing director. So I am very focused and specialized in ticketing, even though I do have an event management background. Currently, I'm working for the FIBA Basketball World Cup. So that's a very big project for 2023. But yes, I think that challenges in the sports industry, and we'll get more into this today, I think you start realizing them when you advance in your career. When I was 19 and I decided I wanted to work in this industry, I didn't think about the women-men issue. I just started because I thought I owned it. I said, okay, I come from a tennis background. I've been playing tennis. I love sports. This is where I want to work. And I didn't take into account the challenges. And the challenges have been more in these 15 years that I have been realizing that it's not as easy for a woman as it is for men, for sure. So I think it is an interesting conversation, definitely a responsibility as well for all of us to work for the future.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, your profile is incredible, because actually, in your case, we don't only have a professional tennis player, yeah, that you played, I guess, for many years, and you had many skills that you developed during your professional or sport career, but then you loved the industry, and then you continued, which is amazing, because actually we have current students that sometimes, I mean, they were professionals, but they kind of swap and moved in another dimension, which I think sometimes if we connect very well with what we love, right, we need to continue in that field or direction. So in this sense, thank you for sharing. So what you just said about the challenges as such that you discovered some years later, no? So in the beginning you didn't realize, but say after 15 years, you have many experience on your back. What could be those that you consider are the most, call it relevant, or things that we could discuss today, you know, things that you have seen that could be, say, different?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for me, the most easy one to catch is that there's not enough women directors or women CEOs in the sports industry and in any industry. So this is, for me, one of the things that impacts me the most still. I watch an event, and when it finishes and it's a trophy ceremony, there's a lot of men giving out the trophies, but not enough women. And we always know that in a trophy ceremony, the people that hand in the trophies are the important people, right? So this is something that impacts me. I try to work hard to understand it, and sometimes Kate mentioned this before we started recording, that at the end of the day, women, and it was the Boston Marathon yesterday, Monday. The first woman to ever run a marathon was in the Boston Marathon in 1967, which means women have been competing for 56 years. Right now, in the Boston Marathon, I don't know Boston Marathon, but in most marathons, 30% of participation is women. So it's a big change in 56 years, from 1 to 30%. But of course, and this is something that I read the other day in LinkedIn, if we analyze women's sports and men's sports as if, let's say we have a garden and we water our garden, there's one garden that started being watered 50 years before, so we can't expect to get the same flowers in one than in the other one. So of course we want to work fast and we want to demonstrate that we can, but it's a work in progress. And of course I want 50-50 at all times, but we aren't there yet. I hope we get there soon, but this is what impacts me the most for sure. The lack of women leaders that you mentioned before, Carlota.
Yeah, and it's a reality. I mean, it's true, it's something that you have seen, but the statistics also show the same. I have recently been in a panel in where they were also talking about women in sports management programs at universities. And this session is also one of the reasons why we do this session is also that in our masters in sports management, we have 18 men and 2 women. So this gives you the statistics. So there are so many situations that shows, and the statistics that there are not enough women. So we, as after what you said, is that we do lack as well certain visibility maybe, or certain things actually that we could be doing. So actually moving into this, as we detected the issue, that we don't have enough women in leadership positions. You said one is time, time. So if we give the industry time, we will probably increase this number. But what else do you think that we could do, to somehow make women, say, take the risk or move into leadership positions?
Well, one of the things, and this is gonna sound a little weird, but I try to only, when I have the possibility to hire people, I try to only hire women and try to have only women interns. Of course, sometimes I give the opportunity to a man as well, but in my mind, I always try to have women next to me to be able to teach them, because one thing I have always explained to my interns is that we're gonna have to work harder probably to get to the same level. So I want in our mindset to understand that we need to work harder. Hopefully one day it's not gonna be like this, but currently it is. And I think we just need to own it and stand up for ourselves without feeling victimized. So this is very important. So if I have to work harder to get to the same place, I'll work harder. This is something for sure. And also we need to get men on board. So the other day I was explaining to my students, I was telling them, because we were debating a little bit of women's football. Why are women like so obsessed in making the same money as men if they don't deserve it? There was this big conversation, and I told them, listen, if you think selfishly, we should all want women's sports to grow because this makes the industry grow. If it's more professional, this is more job openings for everyone. So it's not even if you don't believe it, you should at least think that if the industry grows, I mean, it's a very small industry currently. There's not enough job positions for everybody. So if you want to be in the sports industry, you want to all minority sports and women's sports to grow for sure. So I think we need men on board, and we need women on board for women's sports to grow and the industry to grow.
Yes, so actually to summarize is, on one hand, human resources, right? So companies should be opening and be clear with their kind of percentages of men and women, no? And motivate women to somehow apply, because companies, actually it's true that many companies, and after talking to some human resources agencies as well in sports, companies are increasing the number of women in their teams, and they're asking for women. So this is something that is improving. What you also said is that we need to work harder, but you mean to work harder to demonstrate the same? So because this can lead to another debate, no? What do you mean exactly by that?
Yeah, because let's say companies, like you just mentioned, companies decide because of human resources politics that they want to have 50% women and 50% men. I don't want to get the job and someone tell me you got the job because you're a statistics, because you need to fill in the 50%. So once I'm there, I want them to know that I am there because I'm the best. Which means that probably we need to work harder, because we need to prove that we're the best, and no one to say that we are there because of a statistics. It's like proving yourself a little bit, which of course, I think women 50, 60 years ago did an incredible job to get women to where we are today. And now we do this job to get our daughters and nieces to have it so much easier. So I think we're not at the place yet where it's easy. For sure it's not, but I hope it will be easy in 20 years.
Yeah, this also maybe could create another debate, which is like companies, instead of doing as political parties, no, in having a number or having a percentage of women and men, maybe is always, of course, based on the skills, but to somehow work more with the word diversity. To have teams that are diverse, that can come from both genders, or all type of genders and races and stuff. So actually we do move more into the diversity area, and then maybe we may have less pressure on those percentages. And of course now it is the way it is, that we need to demonstrate that if we get this is because we are worth. But maybe a suggestion could be to somehow change a bit, the message, to have less pressure on performance. But I do agree with you. And what I think, and adding to what you said, is the way we make ourselves visible. Don't you think that sometimes there are so many women, even if we are less than men, but that for A or B, and even professional sports players, maybe with this fear of being judged, or for many other reasons, many women do not show publicly. What do you think about that? Like the visibility, the level of visibility of women. What can we do with it, or what's happening,
Well, I think for sure, we need to support women at all levels. So if you are watching sports, there's many people, I know myself, and I'm gonna say it, I watch more men's tennis than I do women's tennis. And this is a mistake, because at the end, if I want to work for the industry, I need to watch women's and men's tennis. I need to value the women's athletes. I need to give visibility to them. And then in the professional industry, it's the same. So when there's a good women leader, we need to applaud her. We need to share her story. I think we shouldn't think of competitors in this sense. Sometimes we're competing to be the director of a company, and we think the other woman might be our enemy. And at the end of the day, it's not like this. So it's like a higher force that needs to work together for visibility for the athletes, for the performers, and for the people that work behind it as well. So I think this is where we need to be together.
Mm-hmm. That's a good message as well. Great. And for the rest, when it comes to, for example, your own students, that you see the dynamics in class, no, that you have 18 men and 2 women, would you share with us some insights of if you see differences between men and women when it comes to their ideas, their sharings or participation, or maybe there is none?
Actually, I have 5 women this year.
So we have increased it already. Sorry.
Yes, and I have 5 women, and it's really good because I have to say that out of my 20 students, 5 are women. It's the first time ever in the years that I've taught that I have so many women in a sports management class. So this is very good. And I would say they are disciplined. They show interest in the classes and in what we explain. I've proposed some volunteers for some events, and they've always attended. So this is a message that, of course, I give across to all my students, men and women, that if you want to find a spot in the sports industry, which is such a small industry, and everybody knows each other, and it's difficult to find it, I always say, listen, the people that are working as a professional, we are like recruiters, right? I'm always looking at the new ones, at the young ones, to see who's good, who I see that has an interest. So they need to work hard and demonstrate this to be able to find their spot, because someone's going to see them and they're going to hire them. So of course, in my experience in my current class, the women are great. They are working really hard, and I think this is very valuable. And of course, they have all done sports in a professional or amateur level, continue to do it, which is always good. So yeah, so I am happy with seeing the little changes.
Excellent. No, it's good to hear as well. I mean, so actually you have, we have already experienced certain level of increase as well in academics when it comes to students. It's true that universities, for example, no, we are trying our best to balance as well the number of women teaching. So to find the balance, no, that we said, so this should be developed in all the industries. But the effect, no, so my question would be is like, so you do see that by making those say changes and inviting women to take these leadership positions and somehow make them more visible, and what we just discussed is helping. So my question would be is like, how do you see the latest changes from all parts of society, no? Say universities, companies, market, how is now influencing positively in having more women in leadership positions? How do you see the market?
Yeah, I mean, of course, there's a lot of there's some differences, but because at the end everybody has their own personality. So I have to say that I had a horrible experience once in a job interview where the person that interviewed was a woman, and she asked me if I was planning to get pregnant in the next 2 years to see if she gave me a job or not, which is an illegal question. And it's horrible that it comes from a woman, but this is a bad exception. The good thing, I think, when you have women leaders is that they manage to give flexibility to the team, because especially when there are families, it's important to understand that you can't give up something to pursue a professional career, which this is something that maybe 50 years ago we could admit, but not anymore. So I definitely think when you have women in leadership, you have been seeing more flexible programs, more flexible lifestyles, and this is definitely the way to go. So even men can take advantage of this, right? They can take advantage that someone understands this on a bigger spectrum. So I have seen some changes. I have friends that have explained to me stories about their CEOs being women and just being great. And I think this is really cool. I mean, I'm a freelance, so I don't have a CEO to report to, but definitely good stories out there, life stories, which I think demonstrates that there has been a change.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, directly and indirectly, we mentioned that even yourself, you are recruiting more women. At universities, we are more conscious. Even when it comes to, for example, Liga F, the F League and the whole movement, that is happening. And I mean, it's football, but it can also happen in some other sports, But it's the big effort that they are doing into somehow changing the perceptions, of both the actual games and everything that involves the industry, So yeah, I do agree with you. It's true that you touch one thing that I think it's worth mentioning, which is the maternity, right? I mean, it does not affect all women, but do you think that this could be another reason that some women do not take certain, say, positions or jobs in sports?
Probably so. I mean, I am not a mother, so it's not my case. But I do have friends that have gone to jobs saying, "Listen, I can only take it if I don't have to travel. I can only take it if I do five events a year because I can't leave my household." So definitely affects. Of course, I don't know if it affects the men as well. Probably also affects, but it's true that in the sports industry, it's not a 9 to 5 job. You go to events, you have long hours. Depending on what you're doing, you have to travel. So it is very time consuming. And it's probably one of the reasons that in the past and maybe currently, some women aren't taking some positions. This could also be a reason, yes, for sure.
I mean, it's true what you said, that I think this is not only an issue, not an issue, because also the government and the whole society is changing, and actually men do also have part of the leave, to support all women, men and women. They do have the couple do have the permission to be with the baby, so it's not only affecting women as such. It's true that, I mean, we take a huge role when it comes to maternity. But yeah, my question is mainly if because it can happen in any other industry, right? But what you just said is true, that maybe the sports industry, as many others, implies long hours, some demanding, some events, some stuff. But yeah, of course, then passion, comes on top, So it's like to find a way, to do your passion together. With the conciliation with your family. Okay, well, it was mainly to understand if you in another panel, I remember we spent a long time talking about maternity and stuff, and I ended up thinking the same, like, okay, it happens everywhere, and actually it's kind of a global problem, not only in the sports industry. But yeah, you're right. Thank you for answering this. So, I mean, we also, I mean, we kind of went through the challenges, the industry itself, what's happening, and all the variables in the market. What about, how do you see the future? So actually say, what opportunities do you see in the sport industry thanks to this, call it, potential increase of women in this industry?
I mean, I think the future is positive. Actually, last year I worked in the Hockey Women's World Cup here in Barcelona. Well, it was organized in Terrassa, which is, for you that live in Barcelona, it's a little town outside Barcelona. And I mean, it's field hockey. It's a minority sport worldwide. We did 3 days sold out with 7,000 people each day. So this was amazing for this little sport, and it's a women's sport, and it was a women's competition. So I think, like, football is the mother sport, or the main sport worldwide, because football is now making women's football rise, I think this will definitely help other sports. So, I mean, tennis is already huge in women's, football, basketball coming right behind, athletics. So I definitely think there's going to be a change. And as we see that change, then everything just goes better, right? Because this means more people are going to be able to work in the industry. We as women, we're going to have more examples to follow, and I think the future is looking good for women's sports, and I would say for minority sports in general. So yes, so I am happy.
Excellent. Well, we have two more people joining the session. It's true that we're almost done. Hello, Leopold.
Hello.
And we have someone else, Leon.
Yeah, hello. That's me.
Hello. Yeah, well, welcome to the session. It's true that we have covered many things already.
Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah.
We were covering as the last question, like what opportunities after talking about the challenges and the industry itself, what opportunities Julia sees in the market. And of course, well, she mentioned that football could be, with, say, what they are doing, kind of a reference to support other sports to make a rise in, the industry of women in sports, no? Do you think that if we move, say, from football to some other sports like hockey, as you said, or basketball and all the sports we do have, so on top of course, having the players more, say, visible, that people can watch and have more access to those competitions, do you think that this will create new job opportunities?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you go to the jobs that affect directly the competition, referees, umpires, coaches, physios, I mean, it would make sense that you feel more comfortable probably with women in this area. So here you open jobs for doctors, physios, coaches. So here's a big one. And then the industry opens up as well, which means that there is a possibility. And hopefully, if you have a women competition, you decide to have a women director, because you could say, okay, we want someone that used to play the sport, and now we want them to be our tournament director or to be our event director. So then you have the main leader of the event being a woman, which then brings the pyramid down. But I do think that the possibility of having more of professionalizing the women's industry, the sports industry, will always bring more jobs to everyone.
Yep.
And of course, sorry to interrupt, and not only for women, at the end, if we have men on board as well, and this is what I said in the beginning, the changes come from men and women supporting the women's industry, not only women. We need everybody to be on board. So of course, if the industry opens, more women get to be, more men and more women get to work as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Can I say something there?
Yeah, actually, let's do something. And it's mainly that now we can open, the session for questions and answers. So actually, exactly, it's time for you to ask as many questions as you have to Julia, to the session itself. So yeah, all questions are welcome.
Well, I'm long way. I'm totally agree with you, Julia. Coming from the startup we did, that we're also working with the ESEI business school with, where we work with diversity also, and one of our mission is to raise startup with the specific female founders, but also mixed teams, because down the line, I think you're missing one point, which how can women, how can women be stronger? How can we proceed in not only in the sport world? That is strategy, because what I see also doing a lot of in deep research, and also being a woman in men's sport for many years, in the athletic world, which like is full of women now, and in any kind of way. I'll say strategic, because what's happening now we see, and I understand, I understand why women have like the urge to, you know, go into groups where it's only for women. But I think understanding and respecting this kind of like, you know, kind of closing yourself up, I think it's like, it's not, then I'm talking from my own perspective now. Statistically, it's not, I don't think it's very good in the future that you know, that women, they put themselves in groups for only women. I think definitely, and there was a very good little video clip. I don't know if that was the one you were referring to, Julia, because of the Boston Marathon now, that the first woman who actually run the Boston Marathon, that was in 1967. This is not so long time ago. And she was attacked by the guy who was, there's like a little video, and it's like, it's so strong. She was attacked while running, and it was not permitted for women to run. And the moment she was attacked by the organizer of that Boston Marathon, her boyfriend, who was also a sports guy, he would like push this guy away. And there was actually more men coming into this, whatever it was, you know, trying to get her out of the race, and she helped her just to continue. I think this is a really beautiful picture of how men can support women also. So we need statistically, and I'm talking about statistically, we must not like put ourselves in small or bigger groups where only women have like assets. It's going to be like talking about diversity that I've been working with for many years. I think it's like statistically, we really need to have the guys to support us this whole in this whole thing. So yes, this is my take on that thing. And but I understand a lot of things that you're talking about, Julia. Is like, I totally agree with your experience.